Hello everyone and welcome back to another Division 2 video. Today we're trying something a little bit different, and that's the Umbra gear set. But before we get into that, I would like to point out that I am not using any expertise on any part of this build, so if you end up using expertise, this will be a lot stronger for you. And I'm going to start a line of videos called Community Concepts. These videos are going to take a deeper dive into the builds that you guys suggest down in the comments below. I'll talk about how great they are and how I would improve them to play for myself, and this will come with credit to your comment. But with that being said, let's get into this 4-piece Umbra setup. For our 4 pieces of Umbra, we're going to be using the mask, the chest piece, the holster, and the knee pads. For the 2 and 3 piece set bonuses, we have 15% critical hit chance and 30% reload speed. And because we have the 4 pieces, we're going to get the talent from the shadows into the light. This talent is going to end up giving us 120% extra critical hit damage and a 40% increase to our fire rate. Wow, those are massive numbers, but how does it work? Well, if you were to sit behind cover for 5 seconds, you would end up getting 50 stacks, which would be the cap, giving you a 20% increased fire rate and a 60% increase to your critical hit damage. But because we're using the chest piece, that is doubled. We now get 100 stacks, resulting in our increased rate of fire by 40% and our increased critical hit damage by 120%. The bonuses to our fire rate and critical hit damage are given to us whenever we step out of cover, and while we're out of cover benefiting from the DPS bonuses, we're actually building stacks to allow us to regen 40% of our armor. So with this gear set, you get a massive bump to your DPS, you take damage while you're dealing damage, you go back into cover and your armor's back with max stacks to do even more DPS. Pretty amazing, right? But to add to this massive pile of critical hit damage that we have, we're gonna have to go with a Grupo backpack. Because we're using this specific backpack, we get 13% extra critical hit damage from the 1-piece brand set bonus, and the talent that we're going to be wanting on this backpack is Vigilance. This will increase our weapon damage by 25% if we can avoid taking damage for 4 seconds. So far with the pieces that we've discussed, we're actually running into a little bit of an issue, and that issue is we don't have enough damage diversity going throughout the build. Damage diversity has a direct correlation with your damage output. If you only have weapon damage and critical hit damage all across your build, your output is going to be lower than somebody that has a smaller critical hit damage number, but different sources of damage throughout the build, such as damage to armor or damage to targets out of cover. And this is the reason that our final piece of gear is going to be the Contractor's gloves. The Contractor's gloves will increase our LMG damage by 10% for the 1-piece brand set bonus. This is going to be useless for us. The reasoning we're wanting the Contractor's gloves is because it always comes with an increased 8% damage to armor. This value is multiplicative, so yes, you will get more out of it than if you ran Fenris gloves. Given how this build's set up, I was thinking, what weapon would be the best for it? It needs to have a massive magazine size and a talent that will benefit from the increased fire rate from the Umbra gear set. 2 extremely powerful options popped into my mind. First was the blue screen. The blue screen has an incredibly powerful talent that will both disable and disorient your enemies. And with the Umbra 40% increase to your fire rate, these stacks would be really easy to get to unlock each tier of the talent. So the blue screen seemed like the best choice, but I was wrong. The best choice is actually the St. Elmo's exotic assault rifle. The St. Elmo's exotic assault rifle will end up being a lot more powerful than the blue screen would be. A big reason for that is because the sight will give you 15% increased critical hit damage, and the muzzle brake will give you a 15% increased critical hit chance. Seeing how Umbra is set up, you kinda need the critical hit chance to get that 120% increased critical hit damage. The St. Elmo's also comes with a 70 round magazine, and with that talent, Actum Est, you'll end up being really hard to take down. With Actum Est, you will receive 1 stack for every time you hit an enemy. After you reach 100 stacks, your next magazine will be full of shock ammo. The shock ammo will make it really easy for you to control a room and allow you to DPS any specific target you like without being shot back at. With a build like this, you want to rapidly take down the enemies that get really close to you, and that's why our secondary weapon is going to be the Vector SBR 9mm. Everybody likes the Vector because of its RPM of 1,200, but with this build, we're actually going to have a 1,980 RPM Vector. This is because we get an increased 40% fire rate from the Umbra and an increased 25% fire rate on the top half of the magazine with Measured. Measured is going to be the best choice for the Vector while it's your secondary. This is because you don't need to meet any specific condition to proc Measured, and it greatly increases your burst DPS. This is because the top half of the magazine will give you an increased 25% rate of fire with a withdrawal of 25% weapon damage. The bottom half of the magazine will reduce your rate of fire by 18%, but increase your weapon damage by 30%. This will absolutely delete anyone that gets too close to you and allow you to get back into the long range fight with your St. Elmo's. Now let's move into the full build, then we'll talk about specialization, then stat review. Here's the full build. You'll notice that I use a holographic decoy instead of a shield. This is because you have to shoot over the right shoulder all the time with the shield. You can't switch shoulders, and I find that to be pretty limiting. Of course, we're going to be using the gunner specialization. This, of course, is because we get an increased rate of fire by 5% every time we kill an enemy for 5 seconds. We also get a 10% armor on kill, as well as the passive talent and placement, which is going to give us a 10% weapon handling bonus if we stop moving for 1 second. And finally, of course, you get access to the Banshee Pulse if you so decide to use it. For the first part of our stat review, we have 6 damage cores, 4 critical hit damage attributes, 3 critical hit chance attributes, and 3 critical hit damage mods. For the second part of our stat review, we have 57% critical hit chance, 275% critical hit damage, 8% damage to armor, and 10% damage to targets out of cover, 75% headshot damage, and finally, 21% damage to health. Thank you guys so very much for watching this video, and if you got this far, please consider liking and subscribing. It'll really help me out. Again, please consider leaving your build down in the comments below if you'd like to take part in the community concepts videos. As always, I appreciate you guys being here, and I really hope to see you guys in the next video. Bye-bye!
Agent down. Immediate medical assistance needed. Signs critical.
Sighted in.
Make a hole.
Serious trauma detected. Vital signs critical.
Drone direct. Fancy gear won't protect you.
Serious trauma detected.
shot! Taking the shot!
Immediate medical assistance needed. Vital signs critical. Serious trauma detected.
I got you! They fucked up my plane!
Immediate medical assistance needed. Serious trauma detected.
No line of sight here!
UAVs are up.
Immediate medical assistance needed. Agent out of action.
Tango's back up! He's hurting now!
Serious trauma detected.
I'm going out!
Agent killed.